Crescent here, and today we have a gentle yoga practice. So if you have yoga blocks, feel free to grab them. I'm sitting up on a yoga blanket, so if you have a blanket or a pillow you want to sit up on, you can do that as well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started by taking a seat, and we're going to get started with a few grounding breaths. So once you're there, go ahead and palms can be flipped down if you need a little bit more grounding. Palms can be flipped up if you need a little bit more energy. And then once you feel comfortable, go ahead and gently close your eyes. And then just start by taking awareness of your breath. Taking a few deep breaths. Noticing the rise and fall of your chest. Feeling the belly expand and contract. Feeling the ribs move in and out with every breath. Next, bringing awareness to your lower body. Maybe you need to adjust where you're sitting, making sure you're sitting nice and strong on those sit bones. Maybe your legs are clenching, your toes are clenched. You need to find a little relaxation and space. Using your exhale, release any of that tension in your body. And then moving your awareness up to your torso and your upper body. Noticing your shoulders. Can you relax and release any tension in the shoulders and in the neck? Maybe rolling the shoulders up by your ears and rolling them down your back. Maybe sitting just a little bit taller with the spine. And finally bringing awareness up to the face. Noticing if you're clenching your jaw, or if your eyebrows feel like they're scrunched up. Can you find more space? Can you release that tension in the body? And then bringing your awareness back into your breath. We're going to make our exhale 2 counts longer than our inhale. So maybe you inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count of 6. Making that exhale a few counts longer than your inhale helps relax the body and can help put you into a parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest. And continuing this breath, trying to pull the breath all the way down from that low belly. Keeping the shoulders down and away from the ears. Keeping the lower body relaxed. Taking 2 more rounds with that breath. And then releasing that when you're done. Sealing off the mouth and breathing in and out through the nose through today's practice. Trying to calm down the body, calming down the mind, and connecting inward. Your next inhale, you're going to go ahead and take those arms up and overhead. On your exhale, you're going to go ahead and forward fold while you're sitting, reaching those arms nice and long in front of you, letting that chin come to the chest, opening up through the back of the neck. Taking a few deep breaths here. And then on the next exhale, walking those hands back. Sitting up nice and tall, taking those arms up and overhead. This time we're going to go ahead and release that left arm down to the side of the body, reaching it nice and long on your mat. Maybe that palm comes down, and then that right arm reaches up and overhead. And as you're doing this, you're trying to stay soft in that left shoulder and finding the space in the right side body. So on that inhale, filling up the space, and exhaling, feeling that space release. Taking 2 more deep breaths here. And go ahead and exhale, lifting both arms back up to center. And then exhaling once more. Right arm goes down to the side of the mat, left arm reaches up and overhead, finding that space and length. Opening up to that left side body. Connecting in with the breath. And the next exhale, both arms are going to lift back up and overhead once more. This time we're going to take those hands back behind our body, opening up through the chest, letting that chin open, finding that space. Maybe the head tips back a little more. Maybe you keep it up at an angle, whatever feels best in your body. And then rolling the shoulders down and away from the ears. On your next exhale, slowly bringing those hands back to your knees. And if your eyes are open, maybe you gently close them again for this one. We're going to do a little spiral with our torso. So we're going to go ahead and in our inhale is going to pull our chest forward. And on the exhale, we're going to go ahead and round through the spine. And so we're going to be making circles here. And I want to start with as big as circles as you can make. So that inhale pulls you forward. Exhale pushes you back. And as we're making these circles, every time you come forwards and go back, try to make those circles just a little bit smaller every time. Staying connected to that breath. Once that circle is to the smallest that you can make it, you're going to go ahead and reverse the direction. So that inhale's still pulling you forward and the exhale's pushing you back. And this time, every time you make those circles, they're getting just a little bit bigger with every single circle that you draw. And the circle speed should be as fast as your breath is moving. So if you notice you feel a little anxious, go ahead and try to slow that breath down, to slow that body down. Once the circle is as big as you can make it, you're going to go ahead and find stillness at the center, sitting up nice and tall. Shoulders pull down, eyes can be gently closed. I'm just going to take about 6 breaths here, once more connecting in with the body. After you've had those 6 breaths, you're going to go ahead and bow your chin down towards your chest, opening your eyes up once more, bringing your head back to center, and then we're going to go ahead and flip onto all 4s. So mindfully transitioning, coming to all 4s. If the mat is too hard on the knees, you can always use a blanket and fold that blanket out. Otherwise, if you have a blanket, you can always put it off to the side if you're done with it right now. We're going to go ahead and find our space here and finding a nice flat back. We're going to take a few cat-cows. Inhale, letting that belly sink, looking up. Exhale, roll through that spine. Inhale, letting that belly sink. Exhale, rolling through the spine. Taking a few more of these. Really being mindful of this movement. And maybe awakening through the palms as well. So if you have a little bit of tightness in the wrist, use this time to awaken through those wrists as well. Spreading your fingers out like starfishes. And pretending there's a suction cup in the middle of the hand, lifting you up. And you're really pushing down through the thumb and pinky side edge of your hand. You're going to go ahead and find stillness and that nice flat back. From here, we're going to go ahead and take our right leg straight out to the side. Maybe that right pinky toe outside places down on the floor, maybe not. But your inhale, you're going to shift your weight back. Your exhale is going to pull you forward. So inhale pushes you back. Exhale comes forward. So we're just taking this nice and easy, opening up through those hips. Matching the movement with the breath. After this, we're going to go ahead and start to bend into that knee. So as we come forwards, you're going to go ahead and exhale, bend into the knee, and you're going to shift your weight towards your right, and then shift your hips out and back. So you're going to be drawing kind of another circle, but this time you're opening up through that hip socket. And so you're finding that space in the hip joint. And noticing if you want to fly through this. Take it mindfully and take it slow. So if you're going super fast, slow the breath down, slow the movement down. Come back into the body. Opening up through areas that might be a little tight. And your next breath, you're going to go ahead and reverse that. Exhale, push you back. Inhale, pulls you forward. Working your way, but in the opposite direction, opening through that hip. And exploring this, if there's a spot that you feel really tight, maybe you just want to hold that and hold it for a few breaths. So opening up through that inner hip. And that next time that breath pulls you forward, we're going to find stillness here and pull that right leg back into the side of the body. Maybe you want to take a few cat-cows. Maybe you want to shift your hips from left to right. And then when you're ready, you're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the opposite side. Left leg is going to go straight out. Exhale, pushing those hips back. Inhale, pulls those hips forward. So finding that space on this side. And each side is different. So checking in. How does this side feel? Now we're going to go ahead and bend into that knee again. And we're going to circle through. So again, opening up through that hip. Inhale pulls you forward. Exhale pushes you back. Checking in. How does this side feel? We're going to go ahead and reverse that direction. Once more, and then we'll find our way back on all fours. And taking any counter pose that would feel good. So maybe again, shifting those hips left to right, cat-cow, maybe even just taking a child's pose. So exploring what would feel good. And then we're all going to go ahead and take our toes together, knees out wide, sitting back into a child's pose, reaching those arms long on your mat, forehead comes to the mat. And then breathing into the hips, really opening up. Taking those hands to the left corner of your mat, pulling that right hip back, opening through the right side body, through the right lat. Walking through those hands through center, taking them now to the right side of the mat, pulling that left hip back, opening through the left side body. Coming back to center and back to all fours. We're going to go ahead and take that left hand underneath our nose, lifting the right arm up to the sky. And then we're going to go ahead and thread the needle through. So that right arm is coming down, forehead is coming to the mat. Left arm can lengthen above the head or wrap behind that low back. But minimal weights in the neck. So this should be just gently resting on the side of your head. If your forehead isn't quite touching the floor, go ahead and put a blanket or a pillow underneath the head. We're opening up through the shoulders. One more breath here. If you have that wrap, go ahead and place that left hand back down. Lift that right arm back to the sky, untwisting. And then coming back to all fours. Go ahead and shift that right hand underneath the nose, lifting the left arm up to the side in the twist. Exhale, threading that needle through. Go ahead and let that forehead come to the mat. Right arm can lengthen above your head or wrap behind that low back, opening through your shoulders. Palm can flip up, that's on the floor. Taking a few breaths here. If you have that hand wrapped, go ahead and release that hand, pressing into the mat, opening that left arm back up to the sky, and coming back to all fours. This time we're going to take that right leg straight back behind us, pull that right knee into the chest, placing the right foot between the hands, coming into our low lunge. So go ahead and shift the weight forward. So that left hip flexor should really feel like it's opening. If your left hand isn't quite on the mat, you can always put a block right beside the inside part of that foot, and the outside if you have two, so you get a little bit more length in that spine. So from here, you're going to go ahead and leave that left hand down. Open that right arm up to the sky in a twist. Right hand comes back down to the mat. We're going to go ahead and take blocks, or just to keep your hands on the mat. If you have tight hamstrings, I suggest some blocks. But we're going to go ahead and exhale, walk those hands back as you straighten the right leg. Toes curl back towards the face, chest is lifted. We're just going to take a few breaths here. So blocks can always come in handy just to get a little bit more space in the back. So we're staying nice and strong, pulling the right hip back, left hip is pulling forward. Use the exhale to release tension in the body. And then we're going to go ahead and walk those hands forward, taking them to the inside of our right foot this time. Maybe you stay up here, maybe you come down to those forearms, or if they're not quite there, you can always put your forearms on a block. So holding out here, again, opening through those inner thighs, inner hips. Try not to roll onto the outer edge of that right pinky toe. On your next exhale, go ahead and take it back to your hands, and then stepping that right knee to match the left. Swinging the hips side to side, stretching it out just a little bit. All right, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to take that left leg straight back behind us, pull the left knee into the chest, placing that left foot between the hands, letting that right hip drop down to the floor. Maybe you place blocks underneath the hands, opening the chest up just a little bit. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and leave that right hand down, twisting open with our left up to the sky. And then exhaling that hand back down to the floor. Sitting up nice and tall, releasing through that back right hip flexor. And then you're going to go ahead and take both hands to the inside of that left foot. Staying here, maybe coming down onto those forearms. Opening up through that inner hip. Two more deep breaths here. And then you're going to exhale back to those hands. Taking those blocks if you need them. We're going to go ahead and straight through that right leg. Left toes curl back. I said right leg, but I meant left. Straightening through that left leg, toes curl back. Finding that space and that length in the back. Trying not to collapse through the upper body. And then we're going to exhale, walking those hands forward. And then we're going to go ahead and frame that foot, stepping it back to all fours. Go ahead and we're just going to swing those hips around side to side. So we're going to draw a circular motion here. So you're going to kind of open up through those hips. So same thing that we did when we were seated, only now we're just going to be on all fours and do this. We're just opening up through those hips side to side. And each time you're making just a little bit bigger of a circle. until eventually you're going to be sitting back almost like you're taking a child's pose. So opening those hips side to side. So circular motions really help release any stuck energy, stuck tension in the body. So we got one more big circle this way, and then we're going to go ahead and reverse that direction. So starting with those big circles, and then we're going to slowly be making our way into smaller and smaller circles until eventually we're back on all fours. So now from here, we're going to go ahead and take that right leg straight back behind us once more. Pull the right knee into the chest, place that right foot between the hands. This time we're going to curl that back toe under and coming up to a high lunge. Hands are going to stay down to start though. So both hands are going to stay framing that right foot. If this is too much, you can always drop to that back knee. But we're staying here for just a few breaths, opening through that back calf. So your left calf should really feel a nice stretch, pushing that heel down towards the floor. 2 more deep breaths here. Then we're going to exhale, taking those arms up to the sky, pulling that right hip back, high crescent lunge. We're going to take our right hand behind us, left arm in front of us, taking an open twist here. Shoulders and hips are staying in alignment. And then exhaling, arms back up to center. Taking those hands back down to the floor, to your blocks. From here, listening up, we're going to go ahead and push off our left foot, and we're going to come to a forward fold. So letting those head hang heavy, arms release to the floor, bending as much into the knees as you need to. Maybe you shift your weight from left to right. Now hands are coming to the floor, to your blocks, so you're going to step back with your right foot, coming into your high crescent. Hands will stay on the floor or on the blocks, right knee is lifted this time. Finding that space and pushing through that right heel, opening up through the calf. Not bouncing as we're doing this, so making sure we're staying nice and static. On your next exhale, coming up to a high crescent lunge, arms lift up and overhead. Remind you, back knee can always be down on the floor if this is too much. You're going to take that left hand back, right arm forward, open twist. Both arms reach back and up and overhead. Hands come down to the floor. And pushing off that right foot, coming into a forward fold. This time taking ragdoll, grabbing opposite elbows. Maybe shifting your weight from left to right. Taking those hands down to the floor, pushing through those heels, slowly rising all the way up. Arms lift up and overhead. Palms come together, coming to heart center. And then releasing at your sides. All right, so we're going to do a balance pose next. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do tree pose first. So we're going to do a few balancing poses. We're going to go ahead and start with our left foot down. First option is heel can be right above the ankle. Second option, you can be up on the calf. Third option, it can be up on the upper thigh. So you decide where you're going. Hands can be at heart center. Trying to open up through those hips. If you're comfortable here, arms can reach up and extend those branches, and maybe you play with moving around. Taking 2 more deep breaths here. Palms come back to the chest. Knee faces forward, slowly dropping that right foot down. Taking a breath in between, recentering, and then that right foot will ground down. Left heel can come to the ankle, the calf, or maybe your foot comes up to that inner thigh. Finding that space here. Growing those branches, taking those arms up, maybe playing with movement. Taking those hands back to heart center. Knee comes forward, and then placing that foot back down. Palms at your sides. Once more, checking in with our breath. Inhaling for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 6. once more. And then we're going to go ahead and gently open the eyes. And then we're going to step to the back of our mat. We're going to come to step forward. We're going to be coming into a warrior two. So we're going to step our left foot forward. Our right toe is going to face forwards or in the opposite direction. So your left heel should be in alignment with the back arch of your right foot. And when you find that space, you should be nice and low, opening up through this leg. So don't let that left knee collapse inwards, keeping it open. Arms will extend straight out to shoulder height. You look down your left fingertips. Shoulders stay away from the ears, opening up, breathing here. Pushing through your left heel. Exhale, bending into that left forearm, letting that left forearm come to the left thigh. Right arm reaches up, extended straight towards the ceiling. Shoulders stay away from the ears. If you can stay here and keep your torso lifted, you can extend the right arm up and overhead. Breathing all the way down to that low belly, keeping that left knee bent. Exhaling back to your warrior two. And then the right arm down, left arm up to the sky, reverse your warrior. Exhaling that left arm down, straightening through the left leg. Toes turn to face forward. You should be in a wide leg straddle pose now. Arms lift out towards the side, slowly lower all the way down. Hands come to the floor, to the blocks. Maybe you start to walk those hands back behind you, grabbing the back edge of your mat, pulling open through the backs of the legs, opening up through the back body. Exhale, walking those hands forward, this time coming off of your mat, maybe about 2 feet in front of your mat. And then once you're there, push your hips up and back into a wide-legged down dog. So this should feel really good on your back, nice opening. And you should feel a little stretch to the calves. Maybe you even turn your toes inwards, and so that way, they're a little pigeon-toed, you're going to open up through the calves, that lower part of your leg. 2 more deep breaths here. Turning those toes to center, walking those hands back underneath the shoulders. Nice, deep stretch here. Arms come out to the sides, pushing through your heels, slowly rolling up to stand. This time, our left toes are going to stay where they are. Right toes are spinning open, bending into that right knee, coming down into your warrior two. Looking down those right fingertips, opening through the hips. And then exhale, bending into that right forearm, letting that left arm up, extended towards the sky for a few breaths first. You can always stay here, or maybe that left arm reaches up and overhead. Keeping that chest open. 2 more deep breaths here. Exhale back to your warrior two. Taking that left arm down, right arm up. Reverse your warrior. Exhale, taking that arm down, turning your toes forward, straightening through the right leg. This time though, we're going to actually turn our heels in, toes are going to be turned out, and we're going to sit down into our goddess pose. Hands can stay at heart center or opening up through the chest. Now we're going to take little pulses down and up. I want you to play with pushing through your heels or pushing through the inside part of your feet. And then we'll go ahead and find stillness, shifting your weight from left to right. Finding stillness once more. Extending those arms and legs up to the sky. Releasing those hands down, turning your toes to face forward. Heel toe your feet together so they're about right under hip width. Then your heels are going to turn in, toes are going to turn out, and we're going to sink down into a Yogi Squat. So if this is not an accessible pose, you're going to go ahead and maybe you stay up in the balls of your feet, or you can grab a block and you can always sit on a block. One way that I have people practice this is even holding onto a doorway frame and then working on getting down here. So this is really good for your low back, really good for your hips. So opening here, making it active, pushing your inner thighs in towards your triceps or back of your arms. Few more deep breaths here. On your next exhale, you're going to go ahead and forward fold, straightening through those legs. Hands come down to the floor. Bending into your knees, slowly rolling up to stand. And shaking that out maybe. All right, before we do our next balancing one, we're just going to do another quick, simple movement of energy, a shifting of energy. So one of the best ways to kind of shake or release things in the body is just kind of rocking side to side. So I'm just letting my hands be free, my arms are free. We're just shifting the weight left to right. Circular motion is also really good for this back. Few more. And we're going to go ahead and find that stillness. Maybe close the eyes. Once more connecting in with that breath. Inhaling for a count of 4. Exhaling for a count of 6. And then once you have that completed, go ahead and open those eyes up. And we're going to go ahead and turn on our mat, if we're not already, facing the long way. We're going to take it to a warrior 3 next. We're going to add a little core element to it. So we're going to be balancing on our left leg. Hands can stay right beside the body, or they can reach out in front of the body. We're going to go ahead and lengthen that right leg back. And you're going to go ahead and find that evenness in the hips. So once you're there, arms can stay here or extend forward. But we're going to pull that right knee into the chest as maybe we pull our elbows towards our knee, and then we're going to extend everything back out. So we're finding that balance and that length on that left side as we exhale, pulling things together on the right, and then extending it back out. So working really hard to use that core, the lower abdominal muscles. We got one more on this side. Now, listening up, we're going to extend and hold. We're going to go ahead and take that left hand down towards the floor or to a block, open that right hip up towards the sky, half moon. So you might stay here, you might practice on a wall, but try to straighten through that left leg, chest lifts open. Now to come out of this, that right foot is going to wrap in front of the left, forward fold, and then we're going to take our hands to the inside of our left foot. So now your feet are crisscrossed, so making sure you know which one's the left. So you're going to take it in front of the left so you can just stretch in that left IT band. So you should feel it, and the IT band is right through here, but it will be on the other leg. That is getting the stretch. And then we're going to go ahead, exhale, straightening those legs back out, and then rolling up to stand. Now I'm going to turn around just so you guys can see me, but you can stay facing the same direction. Our right leg is now going to be stabilizing. Our left leg is going to be doing the knee drives. So balancing on that right leg, we're going to go ahead and extend that left leg behind us. Arms can be straight out in front of us or at our sides. Left hip is dropping even with the right, so that left foot might not come very far off the floor, and that's okay. Exhale, pulling everything in. Inhale, finding that length. Exhale, pulling in. Inhale, finding the length. Taking 2 more. After this one, you're going to go ahead and open up into that half moon on this side. So that right arm towards the floor to a block, left arm to the sky, opening through that chest. Woo. 2 more deep breaths. And then exhale, cross that left foot in front of the right. Bring the block to the inside of the right foot and getting a little stretch in that right AT band. So in that side of the leg. Your hands could also be on the floor. So again, mine is a little bit tighter. So I have it up in the tall width of the block. Or you can turn the block down lower. So find what works best for your body. And then next exhale, uncrossing those legs, taking that forward fold. From here, you're gonna go ahead and place those hands down, stepping it back, high plank. From your toes or your knees, lowering all the way down into the belly. And then we're gonna take Cobra, lifting that chest up, releasing back down, and then pushing back to a child's pose. So toes together, knees out wide, hands long on your mat, taking a few breaths here. On your next exhale, coming back up to all fours. Now once more, we're going to go ahead and curl the toes under, come into that high plank. From here or from your knees, you're going to lower down again, chaturanga. But this time, we're going to come through to Sphinx. So you're going to pull those forearms through into a Sphinx pose. So shoulders and elbows are in alignment. Head is looking straight up in front of you. You can stay here. If this is too much though on your low back, your option is to come to crocodile. Elbows will turn out, heels will come in, toes will turn out, forehead to the floor. But if this feels okay in your low back, you're going to stay here. Maybe your right knee comes out to the side. So my right inner thigh is down on the floor, and I'm getting a little more opening on that right side, as well as through my right hip. Shoulders are still staying away from the ears. And we're going to breathe here. If this is too much, you can always bring that knee back in. On the next exhale, if your right knee is out, go ahead and bring it in. Now we're going to do the same on the left. So maybe taking that left knee out. If you had it, otherwise stay where you are. Shoulders stay down and away from your ears. If this is ever too much in the low back, go down to crocodile. Taking that left knee back in if it's out. 2 more deep breaths in Sphinx pose. You should feel that low belly touch the floor. And then we're all going to meet in crocodile. So turn those heels in, toes turned out, elbows out to the side, forehead down to the hands, and releasing here. So in crocodile, we're going to be here for about 3 to 4 more breaths. Feel that low belly, feel your ribs, feel the chest with every breath. On your next exhale, bring those hands next to the chest, turn your toes back to center, and then push up to your knees. And then go ahead and find yourself in a down dog. So toes curl under, hips lift up. We're going to take that right knee behind our right wrist and come into Pigeon Pose. Lengthening that left leg straight back behind you, finding that space here. If your right hip is not quite on the floor, what you can do is grab a blanket or a pillow if it feels okay. And you can put a blanket underneath that hip. So sometimes that feels a little bit better. Staying here or maybe coming to your forearms. If your head is not quite supported, I like to put a block underneath my forehead so that my head can relax and I can keep the tension out of my shoulders. So we're just going to be breathing here for about a minute on each leg. If it ever becomes too much, please come out of it. And we'll all meet on all fours when we're done. down on the forearms, go ahead and come back up to those hands. And then go ahead and lift that right knee to match the left, coming to all fours. Maybe swinging those hips from left to right, letting that side settle into the body. Then we'll go ahead and curl those toes under, hips lift up to the sky, this time pulling that left knee in behind the left wrist and coming into pigeon on the opposite side. Lengthening that right leg back long along the body. Maybe you put that pillow or blanket underneath the left hip this time, finding that space and length in the back, and then folding forward. Relaxing, releasing on this side. Using your breath to surrender. On your next exhale, coming back up onto the hands, coming back to all fours. Once more, shifting the hips maybe from left to right, feeling that settle into the body. And then now from here, you're just going to go ahead and move to the top of your mat and then roll over to take a seat. If you have a block or a blanket handy, you're going to go ahead and grab it as you come to lay down. And then taking those hands behind your legs, you're just going to slowly lower all the way down onto your back. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and take a supported bridge pose. So with that block, you're going to go ahead, bend into the knees, push through your heels, lift your hips to the sky, take that block underneath that low back. So this should be right on that sacrum, and it should feel good. So you'll know when you get the right spot when it feels relaxed. So it should feel relaxing on the low back. If you have low back pain, try it with the blanket instead. So the blanket is a little bit softer than the block. And if it still doesn't feel great, just go ahead and lay on the floor and pull your knees into your chest. So we're just going to rest here for about 30 seconds, releasing through that low back. Palms can flip open to the sky. With your next exhale, push through those heels, lift those hips to the sky, releasing that block from the low back, and then pulling those knees into the chest, rocking side to side, massaging out the spine. We're going to go ahead and take a twist next. So we're going to take those feet back down to the floor. You're going to take them the width of the mat. Arms can come out to a T, and you're just going to gently let those knees fall to your right. So you can stay here, or maybe you take that right foot and place it on top of that left knee and opening just a little bit more through the quad on that left side. The head can face the center, or maybe you look over your left shoulder. We'll stay here for a few breaths. And while we're in this twist, sounding breaths are always encouraged, especially during twist. If you have anything you want to release. So a sounding breath, you just simply go, ah. Sometimes that feels really good. In your next exhale, you're going to go ahead and place both feet back on the floor, lifting your knees back to center. Doing any little fixes or moves you need to do in between. And then once you feel ready, you're just going to go ahead and simply drop those knees to the left. Maybe that left foot comes on top of the right knee. And maybe you look over that right shoulder or stay looking towards the ceiling. And then once more checking in, maybe you want to do another sounding breath. You can exhale, releasing that foot back to the floor. Both knees back to center. Once more, hugging those knees into the chest. And bending into the knees, taking happy baby. Grabbing the outside or inside arches of the feet. Rocking gently side to side. Keeping that low back or sacrum on the floor. Trying to get to 90 degrees with your knee. And then taking any last poses that are calling to you today before we finish with our final Shavasana. Otherwise, if you're feeling ready, you can go ahead and get ready for your Shavasana. We'll be here for a few minutes. I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Maybe you want a pillow underneath your head, or maybe you want a bolster or something underneath your knees. But go ahead and find your Shavasana. You want to take a Shavasana seated as well. Again, we'll be here for about 2 minutes. I will be holding space and letting you know when it's time to come out. I want you to bring awareness back into your body. You're taking an inhale for a count of 4 and exhaling for a count of 6. And knowing you can bring this breath practice into any part of your day. Once you've done that, go ahead and start wiggling fingers and toes, connecting back into the body. Noticing how you feel. Maybe doing a body scan as you do this. And releasing any last tension that you may feel. And then noticing which nostril feels more open. Then rolling to that side, so either your right or left side. Using your arm as a pillow, just taking a few breaths there. And gently pushing yourself up to a comfortable seated position. Eyes can be closed. seal in today's practice by lifting our palms up above our head, bringing them together and stopping at the third eye, trusting your intuition, dropping your hands to your lips, speaking your truth, bringing your hands to heart center, knowing yourself. The light in me honors the light in you. Thank you so much.